And we're back. And we are back. Okay, so I guess it turns out that all that pre-promotion of the video by having it on there, and then I was messing around with it while it was on, while I was waiting for the pre-screen to come up. I think I kind of shot myself in the foot on that one. So if anyone is clicking back on this live stream, let me know if you can see me. In fact, I think my daughters Libby and Michelle are both watching, so I'm going to text them right now. Libby and Michelle, can you see me? Okay, all right, Edmund Draper. Hey, buddy, thanks for coming back. All right, I knew I could count on you. All right. Good. All right, thanks for coming back, guys. Okay, so let me just tell you, I have spent about 3 hours today messing around with the software. And by messing around with it, I've been trying to make it so I can put this picture that you're seeing of me in the corner while I do a screen grab. And I've been messing up. Obviously, I messed something up. I've watched several YouTube tutorials on this topic. And yeah, clearly I've got a lot to learn. Oh, Melissa, welcome back, all the way from New Zealand. Nice. And Livy, oh, it's getting late for you. What is that? 8, 9, 20 to 10. 20 to 10 in Rotterdam. Okay, I wonder if Julian is going to click back on. Julian is a local runner here in Florida, and he was asking a question about running in the sun, and that is something we can talk about in just a second, if he comes back. Okay, Donovan, all right, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Okay, well, listen, I had originally planned to show you my run this morning, and I went out for 13 miles, and it was mostly easy, and as you guys know, I like to run easy most of the time, but I did put in six half-mile efforts at about a bit faster than tempo pace, just to pick it up. Ah, Melissa says there's such a lag. I think that's on my end, and I'm not sure what to do. My internet connection is, I'm looking down at my router now, and it's showing, yeah, showing it's a good connection. Ah, all right, Recreational Runner is there from the Together as One project. I've been enjoying our group chats on Instagram. Thanks for including me in it. Okay, Peter's back. Okay, and James is just an hour behind in Winnipeg. Yep, James, as you know, my in-laws, they live up in Winnipeg, and I haven't been to Winnipeg in a long time. In fact, 2007, when I ran the Manitoba Marathon with my wife, and I think we may be going next year, depending on the travel restrictions, but if not, maybe the year after. So yeah, James, definitely when I'm in Winnipeg, you and I are going to meet up for a run. Okay. Melissa, okay. Melissa, in New Zealand, how is everything going with your restrictions as far as getting out? Like, what level are you guys on now? And Michelle, my daughter, has also joined, and she says the audio is great. So the audio might not be synced up to what you're looking at now, but at least you can hear me. All right, guys, now it looks like Mark didn't come back on. Mark, Running with Mark, you know, the YouTube channel Running with Mark, several of you know him, but he actually texted me before the live stream got started, and he just put in a question, and just in case he didn't make it. Well, he did make it, and then the stream went bad, so I guess he's gone to bed. It's pretty late in Helsinki right now, but he says, what are my pre-run breakfast habits, if any, and are my breakfasts the same all year round, or do they vary from summer to winter? Well, it's mostly summer here in Florida, all the time. Winter is just a cooler version of summer. Summer is oppressively hot. So generally I have the same breakfast all year round. And you all know that sometimes when my work schedule, sometimes I'll be running later in the day. So when I work late till between 3 and 6 in the morning, then I have to run like late morning, early afternoon, and I will eat breakfast before that run. But today I'm off, and I got up nice and early, and this is my preference. I prefer to run before I eat. So whenever I can, I prefer to run before I eat. Okay, Melissa down in New Zealand says, still level 2, day 23, but looks like they're going to level 1 on Monday. Nice. Nice. Okay, Melissa also asked a question. When I'm not videoing my runs, do I like to do anything or just what you and your mind? Melissa, what are you saying? Are you asking what I like to video if I'm not videoing my runs? So I'm going to take that question, I'm going to look at that question from that perspective. Generally speaking, all my videos will be about some kind of running because that's the niche of this channel. So that's what I try and talk about most of the time. And I'll see what you respond and see what you mean. Okay, I do have something to show you. What do I listen to? No, generally speaking, I don't listen to anything on my runs. And occasionally if I've got a long run, I'll put on a podcast or something. I would say I never listen to music on my runs, and if I do listen to something, it's going to be podcasts, but only if I'm going out for a super long time. And I think that is a habit developed from years ago when I did triathlons. You couldn't listen to music on the course, like it's against the rules. So I would never train listening to music because I wanted to train how I would race, and that's kind of gone on. That's kind of how I take it with running, and it's only if I'm going out for a super long time, super long and slow. So I'd say anything over 18 miles, I may listen to music. And I think it's also temperature dependent, because I find that the runs are a lot easier when it's cool out, obviously, and I don't really need to listen to music to help get me through. But if I'm going out and it's going to be super challenging, if it's going to be hot and I'm running a long distance, then I will throw on those Aftershokz Aeropex, and they're nice and waterproof, so I don't have to worry about sweating all over them and messing them up. All right, Edmund asks, if I could interview any long distance runner, who would it be and why? And okay, we got Chris. Chris just said hi. Chris, you remember the video I just released yesterday? That is That Running Guy on YouTube. Go ahead and check out his channel right now. But back to Edmund's question. If I could interview any long distance runner, who would it be and why? You know what? This is pretty easy, and I'm going to say it's Scott Jurek, because Scott Jurek was the ultra runner that kind of got me into long distance running, and he's vegan, and I could identify with that. And I think I read his book, and he sort of gave me the push in that direction of being vegan. So yeah, I like Scott Jurek. I like all his races. Of course, he's retired now from ultra running, but I would still like to talk to him. And he seems like a pretty down-to-earth guy. And he did the AT attempt a couple years ago, and he actually got the record for the AT. But then I think it was broken in that same year or the next year. Okay, all right, That Running Guy. What age did you start running? Okay, Chris and everyone else. So I would run sporadically when I was a teenager. So my dad would go out for a run and I would ride my bike with him. And then as I got older, me and my mate Darren, I remember we would go out for runs, but mostly when I was a teenager, I was into mountain biking. So that was my sport of choice. Then I didn't run for years, like years and years and years. And then probably when I was about 27, I got back into it and I started doing 5Ks. And I was living in Florida at that time, and we have a lot of beach runs, and that makes everything fun. Going to the beach, you run on the beach, sometimes you run in bare feet. So those 5Ks kind of turned into sprint triathlons. And then I met my wife, and she was already a marathon runner. And, with that kind of pressure of having her run faster and longer than me, I kind of had to step up my game. Speaking of that answer that I just gave you, there was an interview that was released about me It just came out today. The website is hybridrunning.co.uk, and I am actually going to do a video so I can put the interview into visual ways for you guys. So we are going to do that, and I'm going to put the link in the comments just so you guys can read the interview if you want. But if you don't want to, I mean, don't waste your time, because I'm going to make a video with all the answers. But that answer with me having harmony as my influence, that was one of my answers. Okay, so let me go scroll back up. Michelle, my daughter, asks, would you ever go back to, triathlons? Why or why not? Probably not. Probably not because of the biking. I've kind of gotten away from biking, and I actually don't have a bike right now. So that would probably stop me. Also, I don't think my wife Harmony would like me doing triathlons again, because it would involve a lot of training on the bike, on the roads, and it just doesn't seem safe around here. And I've got there's a big triathlon community around here, and they seem to do okay. But I've seen a lot of people get hit by cars in my job, and you hear about it on the news, and it just doesn't seem safe. You know, if you've ever been to Florida, the drivers are crazy. So Michelle, it's unlikely I would ever get seriously back into triathlons, although, you know, never say never. I may enter one day. Probably have to borrow a bike though. Okay, we got Doug. All right, Doug. Hey, welcome, Doug. Doug's all the way from Nevada. It's a lot earlier there. Doug, what is it? Is it coming up on 2 o'clock in Nevada? Oh, and Doug knows all about running in the heat. He'll be running home from work today, 105 degrees. Doug, that's pretty impressive. Running in 105 degrees. I know it's dry. I don't know if that makes a difference. To me, running in the humidity seems like it would make a difference. But yeah, I don't know. David Sachs often uses noon or base salts on longer and warmer runs so he doesn't get dehydrated. How do you deal with dehydration on runs living in Florida? Okay. Now, I am not the best person to ask, because I have just realized in the last couple of days, no less, that I need to start carrying a bottle with me on runs, especially in the runs when I go out in the afternoon. Because, okay, so my shortest runs that I will generally go out and do are about 8 miles, and that takes me, I don't know, a little over an hour. And I have been coming home just absolutely wrecked from the heat. And if I just had a little bit of liquid, then that would probably make my runs better. So that is what I'm going to start doing. David, I have a boatload of noon at the house. Michelle gave me, I don't know, 50 containers of noon. So I have plenty of noon to put in my bottles, and I'm going to start using that. Now, Michelle and I also used noon on our 50-mile race a couple months ago, and noon is a lifesaver. It goes down easy, it doesn't hurt your stomach, and it gives you all those electrolytes that you need, especially if you're sweating like a pig, which I do on every run. All right, Donovan, all right, he listens to music or podcasts on every run. It was a habit he started. Don't use earbuds in a race. Okay, well, listen, that's a great way of doing it, because listening to stuff can make those training runs, makes them go a lot easier, right? It makes everything just a lot smoother if you're listening to music. And I don't know if anyone else finds it, but training for me is completely different from racing. So I can have a really hard time running at certain paces in training, but when it comes to race day, it's a lot easier to run at certain paces with a higher heart rate. And I don't know if it's the encouragement from everyone around. It probably is that. It's probably the whole race atmosphere, and that you've been working towards something, that it just seems a little bit easier, and you've got a little bit more motivation in a race. So I totally agree. I can see why you would train with music but not use it for racing, because you don't need to. All right, Doug asks, what shoe drop do I prefer? Hold on, the latency is still crazy, and I'm having trouble like scrolling up and seeing. Okay, so Doug asks, what shoe drop do I prefer? Zero drop seems popular these days, but kill my legs. Doug, I've never run in zero drop shoes. I've been thinking about it because I saw Running Warehouse had a discount on Ultra Escalantes, And you know, I thought about it. I didn't pull the trigger and buy them. But saying that, I think I like a bigger drop just because a lot of my shoes are between 8 and 10. Let's see. The Pegasus that I just reviewed, those are a 10mm drop. I know my Hoka Rincons, I think those are a 5mm drop. And to be honest, I didn't notice the difference. When I went to the Rincons, I went to 5mm. I thought I may see some difference. I didn't notice anything different. I didn't notice any pain in my legs, any Achilles pain. But, you know, one day I'm going to get to a zero drop shoe and I'll let you all know. I'll do a review. Let me know in the comments below if you would like a review of a zero drop shoe. It just means I have to go and buy some because I don't have any. Okay, Edmund is now listening to music on his Aftershocks Aeropacks. And guys, just so you know, remember back in the day I did that giveaway for the Aftershocks Aeropacks. Edmund here was the winner. And Edmund's up in Ontario. And yeah, glad he's getting use out of him. Okay, growing up, did you love watching Coe Crammer over on the track? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sebastian Coe was the man. Oh, Sarah's tuning in. Okay, Sarah. Okay, so remember, this is, you know, we're bringing this full circle now. So Sarah's here. She also has a YouTube channel. And Sarah's partner is Darren. And I just mentioned Darren earlier in the stream, how Darren and I would go running together, but usually we were mountain bike buddies. Okay. Chris says his missus has no interest in his running and he can see her switch off as soon as the word run gets mentioned. Well, Chris, that's why you have a YouTube channel, mate. You can connect with your whole group of runners. That's why you're here, because you can talk to me about running all day long, and I'm here to listen. Okay, Michelle agrees. Biking is so dangerous here in Florida. Yeah, and listen, we live in a very safe area. A lot of new roads with bike lanes. But just driving around, I see people like this. You know, and they drift over. And when I'm running on the road, I will run against traffic. And you'll see people kind of drift into the bike lane. And then they see you at the last second and they swerve back off. So if I was on a bike, you know, I'd probably get creamed. All right, we've got Try Guy here. So yeah, Try Guy. He can talk about triathlons, that's for sure. Okay, the what photo on the wall behind you, are you a rower? Does it stand for teamwork? Yeah, it stands for teamwork, but I was not a rower, it was actually a gift. And it says here, 2018, Nathan Benderson Park. So we live in an area with, there's a big rowing venue here, and we have the World Championships come and they're held there. So we live in a big rowing community, I guess. And you'll see a lot of my runs on Strava when I run out to Nathan Benderson Park, although I'll probably whittle it down to MVP. And, you know, it's a great place to run. I think the loop around the lake is a 5K, so there are a lot of races there. Let's see, what race was it? The half marathon I did. I think it's titled A Fast 13.1, where I qualified for the New York City Marathon, but then I got shut out of the New York City Marathon during the entry. Okay, what's next? Okay, Donovan can relate. His wife is the same, has no interest in my running. Oh, and look at that. Right after this, my wife comments. Hold on, I've lost the comment now. Okay, my wife is Harmony Bertrand, and she will listen to me running. She will listen to me talk about running because she is a runner, and I would say she is the reason that I am the runner I am today. So she asked, do you feel better when you eat before you run or after? She always feels better running on an empty stomach, and yes, I'm exactly the same way. If it were my preference, I would always run on an empty stomach. The only time, as I mentioned earlier, when I get up late in the morning, I will eat before going out for my run, and that's only because on the days I work, I have a very small window between waking up and going to work. And in that small window, I have to run, or I have to eat breakfast, run, and then eat lunch. And I guess I could spread out my meals a little more, but my job is mostly spent sitting behind the wheel of a car, and I prefer not to do more than one meal in a day sitting behind the wheel of a car. Okay, Julian's back. All right, Julian is another Florida runner, And I think Julie and I are going to get together pretty soon and go for a run. I see him running nearby, and he also runs at Nathan Benderson Park. All right, Doug says he sweats 2.5 quarts per hour at 110 degrees. Okay, so yeah, this is a good thing. He sets an insulated bottle of ice water on the porch and loops back. So yeah, that is something I could do. I like to stay away from the house when I go for a run, though, to be honest. The house is like a black hole, and if I came back by it, I would, you know, I have some discipline, but I don't want to test it too much. So if I do a bigger loop, I find it's easier for me to guarantee that I'm going to get my run in. James asks a question. Okay, for weekly mileage, he's been gradually increasing it each week, currently at 44, and he's feeling good. As a general rule, should I stick to the 10% increase each week? Yes, James, without a doubt, 10%. If you wanted to go a little less than that, I would probably encourage that, because what do you have to lose? Well, you've got to lose everything, right? Yeah. What do you have to lose and what do you have to gain? Well, I know that if you're feeling strong and you're feeling good, you want to get out there and you want to, like, I'm sure you want to increase your mileage, and some days you're going to feel better than others and you're going to want to go out for longer, but that could increase your mileage too quickly. And it's a tricky thing, because you may feel good and you may log a solid week and jump it up 20% or 25%. And then you think, oh, well, maybe I'll include another 10% increase. You know, it can quickly escalate out of control. And the next thing you know, you're injured and you're out for a long time. And I've been injured a lot. And it really sucks. It really sucks when you can't run, especially when that injury comes when you're feeling strong. So, James, you're just coming into summer up in Winnipeg, and yeah, I would take it easy. I would just increase those miles slowly. So if you're at 44, well, 10% is 4.4 miles. That's you're already getting close to 50 miles. So, James, I don't know what your history is, but yeah, keep it to 10% just to be on the safe side so you can keep running. Okay, Try Guy, give Tailwind Nutrition a try sometime. It's wonderful. Okay, Try Guy, I've had Tailwind when it has been at races. I've never actually bought it and mixed it myself, but yeah, I've never had any issues with Tailwind. And you know what? A lot of people I've run ultras with have fueled for their ultra marathons using only Tailwind. So that speaks for itself. That's some high praise right there. If you can just use liquid nutrition, because you don't have to worry about feeling heavy, Okay, David Sachs. All right, David Sachs. Hey, thanks for hanging out, my man. And yeah, you got to get out for your run. I don't blame you. Listen, anyone that wants to leave for their run, please go ahead. That takes priority. This is going to be available to look at after we're done live streaming. Definitely not as fun. And I'm not gonna hold you here all day. We'll probably go for another half an hour, 40 minutes at the most. So let's have a look. Try Guy says 0 drop shoes are good, especially ultras, but have to get accustomed. Yeah, okay. You have to get accustomed to them or you will get injured. So yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard from everyone. So you might want to go out for a couple miles in your 0 drops when you first get them, come home, put on your normal running shoes, and then, you know, slowly build up the mileage. But I see ultras a lot on some ultras. I see ultras at a lot of ultras. So I guess if it's on the trails, maybe that's a little better. Try Guy, let me know what you think about that. If a 0 drop is better on trails than it is on roads. Okay, let's see. Let me scroll back down here. Guys, I'm sorry for the latency. I don't know what it is. Okay, let's see. Try Guy generally peaks out at 60 to 65 miles in a week when he's training for Boston. 3 key runs: speed, track, tempo, and distance, up to 20 miles. All right, Try Guy knows what he's talking about. Okay, I'm just scrolling back up. Peter, thanks for stopping by, my man. Got to get to class. Yeah, okay, so education is also key. Running and school. Those are the 2 legit reasons to leave this live stream. Okay, I'm scrolling up. Sorry, I just saw that I've missed a lot of comments. Okay, recreational runner, been running 8 years, never looked at the dropped on my shoes. Should I be just buy on comfort and price? Listen, we can fall into a trap of knowing too much. right? So if you started running in a zero drop shoe and you never run in anything else, well, you'd be used to it and you wouldn't have to like slowly build up to distance in those zero drop shoes. But most of the shoes, for comfort, they're going to be a little higher. So I know that a lot of Nikes are 10 mil drop, and to me that's very comfortable. So I know if I suddenly dropped by a whole centimeter to zero drop, I'd probably be in trouble pretty quick. Okay, and Edmund confirms, yeah, he's got the Ultra Torrens 3.5s, and they do stretch your calves and Achilles. Okay, Julian, another Florida runner asks, how do you deal with Florida heat and humidity midday running? Well, that's a great question. And I think, how do I deal with it? And it's just suck it up and do what I have to do. And it can be very difficult, right? It can be very difficult, but I don't have a treadmill. And if I want to run, my only option is to run sometimes in the midday heat. And you'll see me the pictures I post on Instagram. You'll see me on some of these running videos that I put out there when I've got my white long sleeve SPF shirt and a hat. That's when I'm running in the middle of the day. So yeah, I think the long sleeve white shirt reflects the heat, and yeah, that's how I deal with it. I get soaked still. I mean, wringing soaked. Listen, sometime this summer I'm going to do a video on sweat loss and weight loss on my run. So yeah, stand by for that. If you're not already subscribed, do so right now. Okay, Try Guy, yeah, he can talk about triathlons and mostly been doing marathons. Yeah, so about Try Guy's comments about the 3 runs during the week, that is generally what I will do when I'm training for something. So right now I have scaled back my training and I'm just doing mostly easy runs because that's my preference. When I'm doing speed work, I kind of feel like I'm towing the line of injury, and if I do too much, then, I don't know. I don't want to get injured. Now, I will risk injury getting fit for a race, but I'm not willing to risk injury when I'm just running for fun. So, yeah, like this morning, I did 6 half-mile pickups, but they were only around 6:45 pace. So that's more of a tempo pace, and I'm just picking up to turn my legs over. Okay, speaking of marathons, what mileage would you peak at to help get a BQ? And that's under 3 hours. Now, Julian, there's been studies about that. You can probably Google the studies that show what runners do, but if I remember right, I think it's 70 miles. I think that's the average of BQ runners under 3 hours. And that is generally what I will build up to. Now, everyone's different. So if you haven't run 70 miles in a week before, slowly build up to it. There are a lot of people that run a lot further than that. For me, 70 miles is pretty key. I may bump it up to 80 miles when I'm training for a peak marathon, but mileage is key. All right, you got to do that speed work, but you also need that base to train, and you need that aerobic capacity, and that just comes with repetitive miles. So this isn't just me talking. There has been a study on this. So according to science, the average person that qualifies for Boston under 3 hours usually runs about 70 miles a week. Okay, moving down. I see an arrow and a lot of people are commenting. Okay, Julian wants to get his peak mileage between 70 and 80s. Yeah, Julian, listen, you've hit the nail on the head, my man. 45 to 55 miles a week in the off-season. In the off-season, there's no sense risking injury. So take it easy. 45 and 50 miles a week, that gives you a solid base to build off anything, right? You can go anywhere from a base of 40 to 50 miles a week. So I think that's a pretty good plan. Melissa asked, do you think you'll branch out and do personal coaching, even if online? Melissa, I'm not a certified coach, so it's unlikely that I will do coaching. I know a lot of good coaches, and I'd rather just refer out at this time. I've considered getting a coaching certification, but that is only so I can speak intelligently about it when people ask me questions. So yeah, personal coaching, I don't think so. There are a lot of good coaches out there. So if you're looking for a recommendation for an online coach, I have a couple. But yeah, either write in the comments or email me And guys, just so you know, my email address is in the comments of every video. So if you want to reach out to me that way, that's totally fine. Okay, John Tipton asks, what running shoe you'd never run in again? Thinking. Okay. I'm not going to say never, but, and this is going to be pretty controversial, I don't think I'm ever going to run in the Hoka Rincons again. Okay, now that shoe is a beloved shoe. People love the Hoka Rincons, and if you do a search on YouTube for Hoka Rincons, you are going to see millions of videos. I have even put one or a couple when I first got my Hoka Rincons, and listen, they feel great. They feel really good, but it's just a bit, the toe box is just a bit narrow for me, and my little toe kind of rubs the side. And I think I've got 300 miles on them now, and I'm going to put a few more miles on them before I retire them. But after I retire them, I don't think I'm going for another pair of Rincons. Unless, you know what, in July the Hoka Rincon 2s are coming out, and I've heard they're very similar. I don't know. Maybe I'll buy them just to review them because they're pretty comfortable. But that rubbing of my little toe on the Rincons drives me crazy. And right now, I hate throwing good running shoes away, so I am going to log my miles, but at this point, I don't think I'm going to buy another pair of them. Okay, try guy. Oh, hold on, Chris, it's his wedding anniversary today, 16 years. Okay, brilliant, go. Another good I am getting tired of these legit reasons to leave this live stream, but if it's your anniversary, please go and be with your partner. And I think I scrolled past it. Sarah said that Darren says hello. So Darren, what's up, my man? Boom. Fist bump to you. Okay, let me just scroll through these comments. Okay, Try Guy says, okay, answering our last question about zero drop shoes running on trails or on the roads. He doesn't regularly run on trails, so can't really answer. He expects they'd be fantastic as long as they have enough protection from rocks. So yeah, just like any trail shoe like for like real rocky trail running is going to have a rock plate in. So I guess it goes, you know, just like anything, you would buy your shoes, you'd buy road shoes and you'd buy trail shoes. Okay, Libby, my daughter, she is out. It's bedtime there. And okay, I'm picking up a little bit of sarcasm from Livy that says easy runs are my favorite, you don't say. So yeah, listen, anyone that follows me on Strava sees that I tend to run easy most of the time. But, you know, it's running. Hey, Dan! Dan is here. Dan runs, another great running YouTuber. If you're not subscribed to Dan, go ahead and do so right now. And he is in the UK. And yeah, it's getting pretty late. What is it? 9:10? 9:10 in the UK. Okay, Julian asks, Julian usually works at night, so late mornings or late afternoons there is time to run around here. Midday for shorter runs, and he's running all sorts of Florida weather. Okay, yeah, Julian, I know I've seen your runs on Strava where you are running in the middle of the day, but I've also seen them in the morning, so you know, we'll get together at some point. I think if I'm going to run with someone, I'd rather run in the morning just because it's so miserable and such a, you know, it's such a job to run in the heat. Ah, Dan says he wouldn't run in the Hoka Clifton 6s again. So that's two people that don't like Hokas, but Try Guy's upset. Okay, we've hit a nerve here. The Rincons are awesome. He will never run in Topo Athletics again. They were terrible. Okay, Edmund asked the question, why not the Clifton 6s? And yeah, I would like to know that too. Doug Smith, KT tape for blisters and skin rubbing against shoes. So Doug, where is the skin rubbing against your shoes? Is it in the heel? Because you can always lace them to give you that heel lock. And I think I have another video on the channel somewhere about lacing. If it is your heel, try that runner's knot where you actually tie little loops and it locks in the heel, and that may fix your problem without using KT tape every time you run. Okay, and Dan says about the Clifton 6s uncomfortable, too hot and unpleasant to run in. Now it's just a daily trainer. Well, too hot. Okay, so Dan, that doesn't rule out the Clifton 6s for me because everything I run in is super hot. And I think you might remember, guys, that I was running in the Skechers, the Go Run Max Road 4s, and that was like wearing a jumper on my foot. But here in Florida, it's so hot all the time that every shoe I wear is super hot. So I may give the Cliftons a go. I don't just want to rule out Hokas because the Rincon are the first Hoka that I've run in and people are just mad for them. People are mad for Hokas. So who knows? You know, if I can get a good review of a good Hoka shoe from one of you guys, maybe I'll give that a go. John, how much time do you give for stretching pre and post run? Okay, so John, I do have a couple of videos on the channel, but I'll go through it. So pre-run, I'm pretty excited to get out the door. So my routine is usually just a couple of bodyweight squats, some walk-in lunges, maybe a couple reverse lunges, maybe I'll do some leg swings, and it's usually just a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, super short, but just those 2 or 3 minutes makes a huge difference. So if you don't have time, you don't like it, like me, like I want to pull my shoes on and get out the door and go for that run, then just doing a couple of bodyweight squats, lunges, leg swings, the difference is night and day. The difference is night and day just from doing that. Now, after a run, I'd like to tell you that I foam roll after every run. I would say I foam roll less than 30% of my runs, but Harmony and I are still doing our stretching routines. So sometime during the day after my run, it's not always immediately after my run, but Harmony and I will get out there and we will do a stretching routine together on the floor in the living room. And if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, you've probably seen us stretching in a video because we're still trying to get our splits. Not really running related stretching, but I'm hoping to stretch everything out to make my running easier. Okay, Roy asks, what should I have for breakfast? What should you have for breakfast? Bananas and peanut butter is the breakfast of champions, or at the very least, this champion. So bananas and peanut butter are my go-to, and I'll usually have a bowl of Cheerios with it. But if I have to give up one thing, it would be the Cheerios. Bananas and peanut butter for every breakfast. Okay, Julian asks, where do I go to get my produce in the area that's best for Freshness? Detweiler's has been good. So for all you guys that don't live in my neighborhood or in my town, Detweiler's is a local store. And yes, Detweiler's is perfect. But Julian, I highly recommend that you get on the list for Misfits Market. And they deliver a box of produce every Friday to our door. It's, I don't know where it ships from. Georgia, maybe near Atlanta. I don't know. It doesn't matter where it comes from. The point is that it gets here and it's all packed in ice packs and they kind of choose what they send you, but it's different. It's different every week. So we get a 10 to 15 pound box, maybe it's a 20 pound box of produce delivered every week. So honestly, we just go to Publix. We just go to our local grocery store to get the staples. And yeah, honestly, the staples are bananas for me. Bananas for every meal. So Misfits Market. Okay, Doug says at 105 degrees, the longer he runs, the softer the shoe feels. Yeah, Doug, I'd probably agree with that, mate. Yeah, I'd say they are melting. You know, when you see the runners out in Death Valley running Badwater, they will run on the white line to avoid melting their shoes. So it's a real thing, melting shoes. I do think of that when I'm out for a run in the middle of the day. I haven't noticed anything though. Okay, so Dan says the Hoka Challenger ATR 5, he has close to 1,000 kilometers in it. Okay, well, listen, if you've run 1,000 clicks in a pair of shoes, that is high praise. So thanks for that, Dan. I'll check those out. And Julian, okay, Julian, thank you. Thank you, mate. The thing about Hokas is that they run a little narrow, and that's what I found. So, Dan, have you found that they actually run narrow and just those Challenger ATRs, they fit a little wider, or are all Hokas the same? I'd be really interested to find out. Okay, Melissa's talking to Doug. Are his shoes wide enough? Melissa has to have wide shoes, a half size bigger, or they tend to get rubbing blisters, and if they get wet. Yeah, you know, I think it comes down to brands, because I've run in several shoes. I've run in several shoes where I've run through like river crossings, or you're running through a pond. You know, these ultra race, the people that set up the course, they like to have you running through water. So a lot of the time on these longer races or these trail races, they will have stream crossings. So if your shoes rub when they get wet, that's no good. Okay, Edmund asked, do I always eat before my run, or does the length of the run come into play? Edmund, so we answered this question a little earlier. I will eat before my run based on the time I wake up, and that is just to squeeze my meals into the day. I would say if it came down to my preference, I would never eat before a run unless it's a race. I will always eat before a race, but even up to 20 miles, I would just throw a couple gels in my pack and I will have those, and then I'll eat when I come back. So I'm a big fan of fasted runs. Julian, he'd recommend giving New Balance a try for a wider toe box, a good amount of room. Currently loving the 1080 V10s. Yeah, and looking at the fuel cell series for the next one. Okay, so I think I'm probably going to go, oh man, those New Balance TCs. I just see those and that's like, oh, I want those TCs. They look so nice, and I haven't run in New Balance in a long time. And so many of the 1080 V10s have been, like videos have been made about them. So I think I'm probably going to wait for the 1080 V11 to come out, and then I can actually make a video in good time. But I think my daughter Michelle has the 1080 V10s, and she also has the Fuel Cell Rebel, and she loves both. So I haven't seen a negative review on the 1080 V10s from anyone out there, and all the YouTube shoe reviewers, you know, they all speak highly of the New Balance 1080 V10s, especially for a daily trainer. Okay, Melissa asked, in the Misfits veg video, you have a fruit veg that you couldn't identify. Yes, Melissa, I think maybe it was you that pointed out that it was a beetroot. I know you mentioned in the comments, and I think that's when we knew. Or maybe we found out and then you just confirmed it. But we did make a beet pancake out of that when we figured out what it was. Did you find out what it was? Not the beetroot. Oh, okay, sorry, Melissa, I'm sorry. Not the beetroot, the other one. Was it an orange? Well, it turns out that thing that I said was an orange actually was an orange. So yeah, if it looks like an orange and feels like an orange, probably an orange. I think that's what you were talking about. Melissa, if it was something else, let me know in the comments. I think we figured out what everything else was. Maybe there was a squash, some kind of squash. I don't know. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and get the video. We've got another box of Misfit Markets arriving tomorrow, but I think I've only made the video about the first time we got it, because that was the most exciting time. Okay, Doug is going to be running one of the 3 Degrees of Hell races in July, if not cancelled. Doug, yeah, I wonder. We're at the beginning of June. I wonder if races in July are going to go ahead. I don't know. Doug, I know you'll keep me posted, but yeah, I want to know if races out there are still going to keep going. I haven't really heard of local races around here, what they're doing. I don't think anything's going on right now. And I think as far as the big races, you know, Berlin was first. Boston's a biggie, being cancelled, and I think that is going to be the domino that knocks all the big ones down, at least for 2020. Okay, so Dan actually has the ATR wide. Okay, I didn't even know they were available, but that's good to know that I can actually. Okay, so I'm going to give Hocus a try, and I'm going to buy the wide pair. So that was my only problem with the Rincons, was that they weren't wide enough. You know, rubbing that toe. And the video on my channel showing the wear after 900 kilometers. Okay, guys, if you want to see this, go to Dan's channel, check out the video showing the wear after 900 kilometers. But as I said, that's high praise. Okay, Melissa, let's see. Roy, okay, Roy, thanks for being here. Thanks for staying this long. And yeah, if you want to come back and view the last couple minutes, that's fine with me. I think we have another video coming out tomorrow though. So I don't expect too many people to come back and watch the live stream. Melissa loves Asics. Ah, yes, Melissa, it was an orange. Okay, Melissa, hold on one second. Okay, I probably need to get a screen. I did set up a screen for when I step away from the camera, but I'm so scared of messing up that screen like I did in the beginning of this. But Melissa, I actually have 2 pairs of Asics on deck. So I'll be doing a couple of run reviews in some Asics soon. I got a great deal on those Asics, so it was a good enough deal where I had to buy 2 pairs. They're not the same, but yeah, I'll be reviewing those soon. All right, guys. You know what? We're running. I think people are leaving. How many people? We've got 12 people on now. And YouTube is telling me the video resolution is not optimal. But I am not going to mess around with the video resolution right now. Listen, I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson of trying to fix things as we go along. So I'll try and do a little more research before next time. Clearly, I've got a lot to learn with this live streaming, but I don't know. I like talking to you guys. Thanks to everyone that stopped in and commented, and thanks for everyone that viewed without commenting. I really appreciate your time. I am going to give it just a minute to see if anyone else has any questions. But this dead time is really horrible. So, okay, Edmund, anyone using the New Balance Beacon V2? I don't know of anyone. I personally don't know of anyone who's run in the New Balance, the Beacon V2, but where did I see it? I don't know. There are so many running shoe YouTubers, so I'm sure Jamie, Seth, Kofuzi, Emily, I'm sure one of them have done, Ed Bud, one of them has done the Beacon V2. So yeah, I can't give you first-hand information there, Edmund. Okay, Melissa, hey, thank you for tuning in all the way down under. You get your daughter to school and get off to work. And yeah, let's see. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon here now. So yeah, I'm winding down for the day. Doug says, if I run in the same model shoe for a year, my feet hurt. Okay, well, yeah, that is a great example of why we should be rotating shoes. And so let me let you into something. I did not rotate different pairs of shoes until I started this YouTube channel. I would run in multiple pairs of, let's see, for years it's been the Nike Pegasus, then I switched to the Zoom Fly, then the Zoom Fly 3s, and I would just rotate 3 pairs of the same shoe. Now I didn't have any foot problems when I was rotating the same pair of shoes, but turns out that I probably should be running in different shoes just to give my feet a different feeling. All right, I don't want to get stuck in one pair and then you know, you get overuse injuries, I guess, from wearing the same shoes. Oh, Marielle. Okay, Marielle from the Netherlands, thanks for tuning in. Okay, you know what? I knew I had heard someone telling me about the Beacon V2, and it was you. A great shoe, but more for speed and short runs. Okay, Edmund, there you go. Speed and short runs. So I guess they're a little less padded. I guess maybe the stack height is a little lower, or the foam is a little firmer, so it gives a little bit more feedback, and that's why they're good for speed and short runs. Yeah, I'm gonna look into these beacons and see. I know I've heard so much about them, and I just I haven't run in New Balance, and I obviously haven't run in the Beacon V2s. So that's good to know. Good to know what they're for. All right, guys, listen, Marielle, listen, it's late. It's late for you. Probably close to bedtime. So I am going to go and have a drink with my wife, and I'm going to go over and bring a thank you card to my neighbor, because my neighbor came over to help me fix the toilet today. It's lightweight and not very cushioned. Yeah. Okay, so Edmund, okay, I'm trying to get out of here and I get carried away speaking, but okay, so it's light and not very cushioned. Now, I've had shoes in the past, and I know it was a pair of New Balance. They were super light when I started running, and I started running too high a mileage in them, and I noticed injuries coming on, or at least the feeling of injury coming on when I ran too many miles in them. So yeah, I have a hard time running high mileage in racing shoes. So what I really need to do is like go out for a warm up in some shoes, come home, change into these lightweight shoes like the Beacon V2s, and then go and do a session, go and do my workout, and then come home and change shoes. But all that seems like a lot of work. So out of laziness, I would just wear the same shoes for the whole run, and it came back to bite me. So just keep that in mind. Okay, Melissa, I will tell Harmony you said hi. James, hey, thanks for tuning in. All the way from Winnipeg. Guys, okay, next live stream, I'm going to put notices out there. Next live stream, though, is going to be on Saturday, June 13th. Okay, I'm working this weekend, so I'll be off the next weekend. Saturday, June 13th will be the next one. Maybe there'll be an impromptu one, but don't worry about tuning in. I will give plenty of notice for the Saturday one. And yeah, guys, be kind. Be happy. Hold on. John, recent shoe recap from Brooks Hoka. Saucony, what brand would I recommend next? Oh. Alright, thanks Try Guy. And yeah, I'm always checking out your channel. Everyone else, check out Try Guy 1978, great channel. John, listen, when my wife was really big into running, she would run in a lot of Brooks. She loved Brooks. Hoka, you know what? Hoka felt really good. I can't give you a recommendation. You know, I would say go into a running store, try on a couple of shoes, and then go from there, because everyone's got their own opinion of what works best for them. You get guys that run in Saucony, and they are going to run in nothing but Saucony. And I see a lot of videos of the Saucony Endorphin Pro coming out, and you know, I'm seeing it so much that I just want to go and buy them and try them, just because there's so much hype around them. But yeah, I'm sorry I can't give you an exact recommendation, but go to a running store and just try them, or use a service like Roadrunner Sports or Running Warehouse, and you can try them on, walk around the house, and then send back the ones you don't want. That's the best way. Okay, Julian, I will see you in a couple weeks. And guys, be kind, be happy, run well, and I will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Just got to end this live stream. There's kind of like an awkward pause, you know?